Hello, this is Pastor Rick. I want to welcome you to the Sunday Forum on this Memorial Day weekend. And that's what we want to lift up and celebrate on this Sunday Forum. It is Memorial Day, where we celebrate those service people in our church, in our communities, in our families, who have died in service to their country. And I always have to remind myself, okay, this is not Veterans Day. For example, on Veterans Day, we celebrate all those who have served in the armed forces. And at church, we'll list out all the names at the end of the service, which is really, I find it quite moving. But this is Memorial Day, where it's just those who have fallen in service to their country. And this day started as a celebration back at the time of the Civil War. Now, I know I prefer these celebrations in small towns. That's how I remember these powerful parades and the barbecues, and then we'd all gather in a local park, and the mayor of the town would stand up front, and among other things, he would read off all the names of those who had lived in our neighborhood who had died in the service to their country. I love Memorial Day celebrated in small towns. But now let's hear a little about the history of Memorial Day. Again, going all the way back to the Civil War. Enjoy this clip.
Memorial Day, which honors the fallen of all of America's wars, got its official start after the American Civil War. But the ritual of honoring war dead at a specific time goes back thousands of years. Most ancient cities would separate the dead from the living by burying them well outside their walls. But ancient Spartans would bury their fallen soldiers in their city as a way of honoring them. And after the famous battle with the Persians that was depicted in the movie 300, the Greek historian Herodotus memorized the names of every fallen soldier. The first American incarnation of the day was in 1868, when General John Logan declared Decoration Day, for the purpose of decorating the graves of fallen soldiers in the brutal war that had ended only 3 years earlier. On the first Decoration Day, flowers were strewn on the graves of over 20,000 Union and Confederate soldiers who were buried at Arlington National Cemetery. By 1890, Decoration Day was adopted at the state level across the entire nation. With the tragically massive loss of life in World War I, the holiday was expanded to include the fallen military members in all American wars, and came to be known as Memorial Day. And in 1971, in the thick of the Vietnam conflict, Memorial Day became an official federal holiday. Like Veterans Day, Memorial Day began as a way to honor veterans of a specific war, and was later expanded to include veterans of all wars. Memorial Day is distinct in that it specifically recognizes the military personnel who gave their lives defending their country. Many other countries have holidays where they honor their war dead in similar fashion. Russia does this on Victory Day, Great Britain on Remembrance Day, Australia and New Zealand on Anzac Day, to give just a few examples. When you're a veteran, every day is Memorial Day. All who have served know that the risks are high, but the reward of freedom is higher. Part of the camaraderie that we share is the knowledge that for those who have sacrificed everything, we will never forget.
Knowing the history of Memorial Day is important, but you should know in the church we celebrate this weekend too, and usually by lifting up a few very important Bible texts. And you might want to make note of these Bible texts and use them yourself this weekend. John 15:3 is often quoted, where Jesus says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And we often, also go to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. This is often lifted up at a variety of times in our lives, but also in Memorial Day, where we read, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, and on it goes, a time to weep and a time to laugh. And so we weep on this Memorial Day for those who have serviced us by giving their life to us. But my favorite text is actually Psalm 116:15. Again, here David writes, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his holy ones." And so with that sentiment, we want to remember and ask you to remember those who have fallen, maybe in your family, neighbors, loved ones, those you've known from your neighborhoods. We want to think about them and celebrate them on this Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for joining us on the Sunday Forum. Bye-bye now.